So I'm with Bryce Stringham, and he's going to tell us a little bit about, you know, the places to stay, what we can do for our gathering, the Moon Lake Gathering coming up here in the city of Altamont at the city park. And so we've had some questions of, you know, people saying, what can I do? Where's there places to stay? What's happening? So Mark, because there's a lot of people coming, and where are these people going to stay? Let's hear this.
Well, I found out we were doing these videos last night, and I got up this morning and I called the Best Western in Duchesne. That's probably the most handy place to stay if you're going to be in Duchesne. I know there's another big hotel that has kitchens and stuff in it. They cost a little more. I didn't call them this morning, didn't quite have time, but apparently there still are rooms in that area, you know, not counting Roosevelt and Heber or wherever else you want to stay. There's also a bed and breakfast in Duchesne that's run by Ryan Burns, and I can't remember the name of it, but he might have some places to stay right there in the city of Duchesne.
So stop. How far is it from Duchesne? Do you know how far is it from Duchesne to where we're having our gathering? Well, I call it Treasure Hunters Rendezvous, but it's the Moon Lake Gathering in Altamont.
I know it's 30 miles from Duchesne to Moon Lake. So it's got to be
probably half of that, maybe
3/4 of that, so 20 miles.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a bad drive. It goes by pretty quick.
Okay.
But like I say, we were afraid there would be absolutely no rooms. For me, it's worth going. We've got some amazing speakers that Mark has lined up, and I'll let him talk in the next video about who he's got coming. Picnic at the Park's going to be amazing. We've got several people lined up to come. We're hoping people in the audience will take some time and stand up. I was telling you just a minute ago that there was a guy named Michael James who was there that was very interested in giants, but he's an alchemist, and he talked to me about these giants that they found that had, let me make sure I'm saying this, like thorium, beryllium spheres that were in bohrium boxes implanted in the chests of these big giants they found all over the world. And he told me about all the powers they have. He's an interesting guy. And you know, where else can you go to for free?
Yeah.
Mark and I were talking about, we don't know if we can do this next year because we ended up buying some, what's that insurance called?
Hazard or, yeah.
Liability insurance.
Yeah.
For the couple of days we're out there because we're thinking it's going to be bigger. But apparently we're supposed to have a food truck there again this year for both days. So you can come and buy food off of that. And if you go up to Moon Lake, up to Greg and Yvonne's lodge up there, they've got a food truck up there right now. They've been posting pictures of what they're serving. And I told Mark I might sneak away and just go up there to the lake for a minute and eat a little bit. And Dan Lowe took us for a hike last year up on the west side of Moon Lake, which was very interesting. I've done a lot more reading on Moon Lake and Spanish treasure since last year. And I'm just surprised at all the different people who have been up into Utah searching for gold, you know, from the early conquistadors and other people who keep following all this stuff.
So man, I kind of detoured you on the, sorry about that. I detoured you on the.
I love detours.
Where people can stay. So we got there in Duchesne, we got the Best Western, you said?
It's the Best Western. I can't remember how many rooms they have.
Where else can people stay?
Well, there'll be just camper camping in Altamont at the old fairgrounds, which is on the west side. I think we got thought we had the address on here. 15911 West, 3850 North in Altamont. It's just basically a dirt parking lot. There's no water, there's no electricity. We're supposed to have some porta potties there. Mark and several people stayed there last year. It's like 2 minutes from there to the park.
So you know, it'd be a great place for you know, people with campers and things like that, you know. And if you do happen to go there to camp out in your camper, you know, it'd probably be some midnight talking going on there. So that's something, you know, that you might want to go over there just to see what's going on, even if you ain't camping there.
You know, I know Mark's going to be there, and he's going to be hoping for that. I know Heavy Sursa last year brought this humongous generator because he's in the business of renting out the large construction type generators. But so you're a little far away from people, so you can do stuff like that. But I think there'll be some late night talking. So, you know, sleep in both mornings so you can stay up late.
It's not the greatest place to pitch a tent, but you could pitch a tent because I think it's kind of gravel. It's not just dirt, it's kind of gravel.
It's kind of gravelly, and I don't know how weedy it is. Last year it wasn't too bad for weeds or anything. But yeah,
it's just a parking lot for the old rodeo ground.
It's an old parking lot, and it's dirt, and like Terry says, it's mostly kind of small pea gravel. So if you got a tent, bring some pads. Like I say, we had several people camp there last year in tents, and they were fine.
And they've arranged it so that we got that for, how much is that going to cost people to camp there?
Absolutely nothing.
Free.
And I think that's part of our liability insurance covers that too. But yeah, Mark's been working with people out in Altamont since last year to make sure we have the whole park. Last year we only had a portion of the park. This year we're going to have the whole park so your kids can come play on the swing sets and monkey bars and stuff. They tell us that they don't want us to camp overnight at the park, so just be aware of that. Last year everybody came. There was hardly any garbage left. Everybody was amazing. We went over Sunday morning and just policed the area, and we didn't pick up very much garbage. For 300-400 people there for 2 days, to me that was just a testament to the good people that come to these events.
Yeah.
And how well they take care of everybody.
So back to more places to camp or stay.
You know, like I say, there's 3 or 4 places there. You might check up at the Moon Lake Lodge, see if they've had any cancellations on their cabins. You might check with the Forest Service, recreation.gov, the Moon Lake Campground. They started reserving those back on February 12th, but they always have cancellations. And with, like I said, the price of gas, there could be places available up there. It's a beautiful place to go. Last year I had a friend with me that came, and during some off time we went up to the lodge, and one of the girls that was working in the store says, "You want to feed the hummingbirds?" And we're like, "Yeah, I guess so." So she gave us a couple of little things. We went out on the porch, and there was another family out there, but we must have 10-20 hummingbirds in our hands, standing on our arms, feeding the hummingbirds. So if you have little kids, they'll be amazed at that.
You know, that's one thing you need to do. If you come
that's one thing you need to do.
You need to go up to the Moon Lake Lodge and go there and ask to feed the hummingbirds, because that's pretty cool. You know, them little hummingbirds coming and sitting on your finger, and that's pretty cool. And there's a bunch of them there. Yeah.
Yeah. As you look away from where you're standing, they're just all over the place. And they have 2 big hummingbird feeders, but they took those down and put them away so we could go out there with the little hummingbird feeders, and then you're just swarmed by hummingbirds. And the little kids that were there, they were just amazed by it. And my friend, who was my cousin, he was like, "I got to bring my grandkids up here. They'd love this." So
yeah, well, the big people that I seen that was feeding the hummingbirds were just amazed by it.
Well, you know, big people become little kids when they're feeding hummingbirds. So it's a good thing.
So on top of that, there's some, you know, that the campgrounds, you know, by the Forest Service, you know, that costs money to camp in there. But there's some places off the side of the road where you can camp too. There's little turn-off camp spots. If they're not filled up, you know, there's places there on the way up to the Moon Lake, as long as you're not on the Indian reservation. And there's signs. You know,
yeah, don't go on the Indian reservation.
Yeah, there's signs saying when you're on and off there, but you know, there's camping spots there too. So
yeah, and I think if you go to Facebook, you'll see our flyer that was put out this year. If you go to the Gathering at Moon Lake or Morgan Powwow, any one of those searches will take you to the Facebook page, and you can download our flyer. But it has a bunch of places that you can go to, you know, the vetrecreation.com to see, because up Rock Creek, there's a bunch of places up there too. Up by the Stillwater Dam, there's 3 or 4 campgrounds up there that may have places. Around Starvation Dam, there's 4 or 5 campgrounds in them. They're pay for, you know, type campgrounds run by the government, but they might be still plenty of camping in those places. And like I say, you're 25, 30 miles away from Altamont, which is really, you know, not a bad little trip going to and coming back, because along the way you can stop and explore a lot of different places. When I got up there last year, a lot of people were like, "Let's go here," and so they just went.
Yeah, I don't know that we will either, especially because we're going to be having the picnic in the park. Saturday, and because I was kind of disappointed that I didn't have time to really meet people, because everybody showed up, we had our speakers, and then it was time to go home, and I was so busy filming and watching the speakers that I never got to really meet people.
Well,
so that's why we decided to have this picnic in the park where we can all kind of mingle and talk and hear more stories and get to know each other better, because there's a lot of great people with a lot of great stories. So
well, and that's our goal, is to get you to go around and visit people, because you were kind of welded to the camera last year. And I told Mark the other day, because we have a favorite place we like to eat out there, and I don't know if I want to tell you, because if too many people are there it might be crowded. Yeah. But we've been there a lot last year, and I told Mark, because we're going out Thursday, and I told him I might go out Wednesday just so I can go do some of the stuff I want to do. Last year I wanted to go fly fishing in the stream up there by Rock Creek. 2 or 3 of us were going to go, but they had the flood and the rain, and the river was washed out and it was muddy, so that eliminated our fly fishing trip. But if you're a fly fisherman, you've died and gone to heaven to go up there to fish. So
and for those that don't know, the Uinta Mountains is kind of a treasure trove of stories of the Spaniards, lost mines, buried treasures, and that, and the majority of these stories are right there in the in the mountains, all different directions from Altamont. You got the Rock Creek area, the Moon Lake area, the Yellowstone area, and them canyons all funnel right down to Altamont. There is a lot of stories, a lot of history, a lot of stuff went on in that area. So
well, and that's a great thing, because we had, I can't remember the guy with the big beard that was the dowser, and
Michael Faircy.
Yeah, he was amazing. I wasn't there at the gathering to hear him, but I watched your video. That was amazing, and that was just a guy that was in the area that came and dropped into the gathering. There's a lot of people. I think David Jukes, who helps us a little bit, he told a story about being up in Rock Creek and a guy that pulled a shotgun on him. Yeah. There's a lot of locals there with a lot of great local history and stories. Patsy Sursa, she's not speaking this year, but she's an amazing woman to sit down and talk to.
Patsy and have her tell you some of her stories, because she's got a lot of them.
She's got a lot of them. She's involved with a lot of famous people who have been up there looking for different things. Were you with me and Mark when we went to her house last year?
I wasn't.
Oh, that was for me. I told Mark I have more fun go visiting the people that are going to speak at the powwow than I do when I go there, because we spend a couple of hours each time speaking to these people, and we hear the stories they're going to tell at the powwow, but we hear a lot of other stories, and we see a lot of photos of different things that they've collected or seen over the years.
So that's the thing. There'll be a lot of great stories that our speakers will tell, but the real stories, there'll be some stories that in small groups told that you'll never get to hear. People won't tell them any other way. You won't get to hear them. And same with some artifacts. You don't know. People can show up with artifacts and bring artifacts
that's true,
that you'll never get to see. They won't show everybody but they might pull off a few people here and there. So just keep your eyes and ears open, for what's going on.
That's true. I think the speakers we have at this powwow this year are phenomenal.
They are phenomenal,
and they're coming without getting paid, so you got to take your hat off to them.
Yeah, they're doing this all for free for everybody. This is where
just great people.
So just for to say it, this isn't free to us. This is costing us some money, for the porta potties, to rent the park, to the speakers are speaking to us for free, but different things like that. This is costing us some money, but this is free to you. But man, we'd love to take donations just to help without that, just to help that out. So.
And last year we had some buckets to donate some stuff in, and people were very generous. And I don't know if we got any of that money left from all the stuff we've been putting together, but we'll have those buckets. We auctioned off a couple of things last year.
And I think they'll be planning on having some more auctions this year to help out with this.
Yeah.
So, but again, you don't feel obligated. You don't.
No, you don't have to come and put any money in the pot at all.
It's free, but man, it sure would help. It sure would be appreciated. Bring a little extra cash if you want to buy something at this auction. You know,
And I think
and if you got something to donate for an auction,
oh yeah, bring something to donate it. We'll raffle it off.
Yeah, and to help out, you know, doing this so we can do it again next year, you know. So
yeah, I think Greg Gardner's probably going to have some stuff to sell. A lot of the speakers might have books again this year to sell. Yeah, so have some cash in your wallet. You know, help some of these guys out. I laughed at Mark because Mark's teased me for years about, you know, the Bigfoot stuff, and he always, have you drank the Kool-Aid yet? Have you drank the Kool-Aid? And I always tell him, well, I enjoy just sipping it. And he got me involved a little more last year, helped put this thing together. But we went out because we met some people, and we decided to go for a ride up Rock Creek, up a canyon, to see if we could find a cannon, an old Spanish canyon. And I took my truck, and I blew a tire on the side of a hill, and we got the spare on. I'm so thankful for the people there that helped me change my tire, because I'm an old man. I don't do stuff like that very well anymore. And we parked my truck. Other people went up and they scratched and dented. And
one guy had a big dent in his truck.
He had a piece of lumber this big sticking in the side of his truck. And Mark told me, you are so blessed you didn't go any farther. That flat tire was a blessing. And I told Mark that, you know, after running out there 5 or 6 times and doing that trip, that I'd spent a couple $1,000s. You know, most of it was on me, but it was for things I wanted to do besides the powwow and the gathering. So yeah, it's not cheap to put stuff together, but it's fun.
Yeah.
You know that. You go all over the place.
Yeah. So, anything else you want to mention?
No, we just hope we get a lot of the same people that were there last year, and a lot of new faces. And like I said, we've designed it so we can get together and meet and greet a whole lot more. You got to bring your own food to the picnic on Saturday.
Do you know, will the food truck be to the picnic on Saturday? Picnic in the park, the food truck?
I think it is, and it's the one. It's like
barbecue one?
It's like the Outlaw Barbecue. It's out of Duchesne.
That was pretty good food.
And everybody we talked to thought it was amazing. And from what I understand, that will be there. Maybe in another video we can let people know yay or nay. But I think Greg Gardner's lined that up for us, and they were looking for some more food trucks. So, but you know, if you're like me, my dad used to take me fishing, and I don't like to fish. But if I had my shotgun and my motorcycle and a lot of food, especially the food, I'm fine.
Good to go, yeah.
And you know, then it's fun.
So for those that are coming from out of state or far away, you know, I would suggest spending a little extra time coming to, you know, hit Vernal, which isn't very far from there. You know, they've got the dinosaur quarry where you can actually see some of these dinosaur fossils still in the quarry where they're quarrying them out. Go hit McConkey Ranch.
Oh yeah, definitely.
The most spectacular petroglyphs, in my opinion, of the whole United States. These petroglyphs looks like these guys are Egyptian or something like that. I mean, they're finely detailed with jewelry and I mean, it's spectacular. You need to see that. We're not that far from Skinwalker Ranch, you know. I mean, there's a lot of things to see and do here in the Uinta Basin area, you know. Plus, the mountains are beautiful.
You know, I went with you my first time to McConkey Ranch. I was born in Vernal. I've been all over Vernal. First time I went to McConkey Ranch was with you guys and Ancient Historical Research Foundation, and it blew me away. And I thought they were totally Egyptian.
Yeah,
and one of our speakers will be talking a little bit about and maybe tying that into it, but I'm reading a book right now on Skinwalker Ranch that says that the Uinta Basin, Roosevelt, Vernal, Duchesne, Altamont, Blue, all of that is the most active UFO place on the planet. So, and it's interesting to me because one of the little things I read in this book was that after Custer lost the Battle of Little Bighorn, one of the generals up in that area who wasn't with Custer was assigned to come into Utah to help regulate the Ute Indians and get them on the reservation. So he was at Fort Duchesne, and I think that's the reservation there in Roosevelt. And when he came with some white soldiers, but most of his brigade or column were Buffalo soldiers, black American cavalry people that came in to Roosevelt, and they were there for quite a while.
Oh,
And I didn't know that that even happened. And I read a lot of Utah history, but it was funny to me because the Indians were enamored by them and the way they looked, but they also didn't like them that much. And the book says that when all these guys died, they put them in a cemetery, and the Indians built houses on their cemetery because they didn't like them.
Really? So this isn't very well known, but the Indians paid the Buffalo Soldiers, some of the Buffalo Soldier, to help them hide some of the gold, some of the mines.
Oh, is that right?
Move some of the treasures, cut down some of the trees that had markings on them.
Ooh.
They paid the Buffalo Soldiers to do some of this stuff.
See, there's a story I didn't know.
Yep.
So you never know what you're going to hear. And I found, when I was a kid, I was so shy, I never talked to anybody. Well, I was out of high school quite a bit before I actually started communicating. My wife tells me you can't get me to shut up now, but all you got to do is open your mouth. Hi, how are you? Where are you from? And then it's amazing what you can learn from people.
There'll be a lot of interesting people there, and you definitely want to talk to them and hear their stories, or at least find a circle, man, and just kind of stand by it and just kind of eavesdrop, because there'll be a lot of great stories going on.
That's true.
Be a lot of great people, a lot of stories. Well, okay, Mark.
I'm Bryce.
Bryce. Okay, Bryce. So with that said, man, that's a wrap, and we hope to see everybody here at the Moon Lake Gathering, Altamont, Utah. It's at the City Park in Altamont, and Friday and Saturday. And like I said, Friday during the day, go on up to the Moon Lake Lodge. With that said, Bryce, that's a wrap, and hope to see everybody there.
Thanks, Jerry.